and feel the vibes.
Welcome students. Today we are going to discuss about chapter 8 excretion, mainly the introduction. So in the introduction we can see about three levels of organization. Already we have discussed the various level of organization in the previous lesson. First we are going to see about sponges. Sponges have cellular level of organization, so that each and every cell is surrounded by the seawater. So the sponges should maintain a ionic composition in each cell. So you can see the sentence, sponges maintains intracellular ionic composition. So this is about sponges. Next is tissue level of organization. When we take a tissue is surrounded by a layer. So this external layer acts as a barrier between the external environment and the internal fluid, so that ions or water does not move in and out. It is under the control of the external tissue layer. Next is chordates. In chordates we have organ level of organization. So the chordates have two types of regulation, that is osmoregulation and ionic regulation. Osmo in the sense controlling the movement of water. Ionic regulation means controlling the movement of ions. So these two types of regulation is seen in the chordates. Terrestrial animals needs an alternative pathway to dispose the nitrogenous waste. We know that nitrogenous wastes are created or produced from the protein metabolism. So this protein metabolism or the waste are excreted through the organ called kidneys. Kidneys control ionic and the water balance. Each and every organism has a three process to control the to have a homeostatic process. The homeostatic in the sense maintaining the balance between the internal environment and the external environment. Each and every organism maintains a balance, so that process is called homeostatic process. So this homeostatic process is by three methods: osmotic regulation, ionic regulation and nitrogen excretion. Some animals depends on external tissues for regulation or homeostatic process. Here we have listed out three external tissues: gills, skin and mucosa layer. Next is osmotic regulation. It may be asked for 2 or 3 more questions. What is osmotic regulation, or define osmotic regulation? Osmo in the sense water. So control of tissue osmotic pressure, which acts as a driving force for the movement of water across biological membranes. So biological membranes are seen around each and every tissues. So this is about osmotic regulation. Each and every tissue has a pressure, that is called osmotic pressure. This pressure should be controlled so that the movement of water across the membrane is controlled. So this is about osmotic regulation. Osmotic regulation in the sense controlling the osmotic pressure so that movement of water is controlled. Next is ionic regulation. So it is a 2 mark question. Controlling the ions is called ionic regulation. It is the control of the ionic composition of the body fluids. We know that body fluids has ions, so that ions should be controlled or regulated. This is called ionic regulation. Next is excretion. In a simple sentence we can say that removal of nitrogen waste products from the body or body fluids. Here we can see the definition as such: The process by which the body gets rid of the nitrogenous waste product of protein metabolism is called excretion. One more question. Nitrogen excretion is the pathway by which animals excrete ammonia. During a protein catabolism, we get a end product. That end product is called ammonia, which is highly toxic. Here we can see that toxic nitrogenous end product of protein catabolism is ammonia. So other nitrogenous product or other form of ammonia is called urea and uric acid. So mainly we should say the nitrogen end product is our protein catabolism's end product is ammonia, and other forms of ammonia is called urea and uric acid. The removal of nitrogen waste is linked to ionic and the osmotic homeostasis. So this should be in a regulated. Movement of ions and the movement of water should be in a balance, so that the nitrogen waste is removed from the body. Here we can see the homeostatic situation faced by two types of vertebrates. In fresh water, we can see that salt concentration in the body is high than the surrounding water. Fresh water, the amount of water is less, so amount of salt is less, but in the animals, the salt concentration is high. Here we can see that freshwater vertebrates maintain high salt concentration in their body fluids. So this is opposite to the marine environment. Marine vertebrates maintains a lower concentration in their body fluids. Marine water, mainly we say the sea water. Sea water has a high concentration of salt. Terrestrial animals face an extra condition, is that water loss. Terrestrial animals have more water in their body. They lose their water by evaporation. So they should compensate this situation to maintain the equal amount of water in their body. That we can say that homeostatic environment in their body, so that they should not lose the water by evaporation. Here we can see the differentiate between the osmoconformers and the osmoregulators. Osmoconformers in the sense they can change their osmotic concentration. Example, marine, mollusk and shark. Osmoregulators in the sense they cannot change their osmotic concentration. Example, waters. Or you can say otters. Here we can say the differentiation between stenohaline and the urehaline. When the animals that can tolerate narrow fluctuations of salt concentration is called stenohaline. Example, goldfish. Urehaline in the sense they can tolerate the fluctuations. Wide range of fluctuation is called urehaline. Example, Artemia, Tilapia and salmons. Here we can see the different types of nitrogen based products. Mainly we say ammonia, urea and uric acid. So these are the major nitrogenous waste product. But we can see some other waste products like thimethylamine oxide, mainly in the marine teleostis, and guanine in spiders, hippuric acid, allantoin, allantoic acid, ornithuric acid, creatinine, purines, pyrimidines and terrains. So these are the other types of nitrogen waste product. So this may be asked for 2 or 3 more question. Mention or name the various nitrogen products. This diagram depicts the situation faced by the two types of vertebrates, that is freshwater vertebrates and the marine vertebrates, to face the homeostatic environment. Here we can see the freshwater teleost produces a dilute urine, and the marine teleost produces a concentrated urine. Here we can see the how the ion enters into the organism by active uptake. Ions enter the freshwater teleost by active uptake, and here the ions move away from the body by active secretion. So in this diagram, the red color lines shows about the ions movement, and the blue color shows about the water movement. In these ways, these vertebrates maintains their homeostatic environment. So this is about excretion, introduction of excretion. I hope you had understood the introduction of lesson 8, excretion. So we can see questions like osmotic regulation, ionic regulation, excretion, differentiate between freshwater and the marine vertebrates, differentiate osmoconformers, osmoregulators, define stenohaline, urehaline, and the last question, mention the various nitrogen waste product. Thank you, students.